Hello, welcome to Scrap Time. My name's Christine, and this video is part of the Inky background series, and we are going to be doing a gel medium resist. So what I've done is taken my gel medium. There's all different types of gel mediums. This is the Distress Collage medium. You can use Dina's medium. You can use Golden, Liquitex, whatever you like. Just a gel medium. And I put it through a stencil. And then once it's dry, you can apply ink over top, and the dye inks will resist the stencil, revealing the lovely design. And so what it does, it holds in the ink underneath. So now all that sort of ink that's under where the gel medium is now there permanent. So if you were to spray it again, none of that underneath there will move. Just the area around it will alter. So here's another one, and a lot of these stencils I'm using are older stencils. I know Dyan has a new, it's called Old School Number Stencil now, if you like the number design. That other stencil was from the Crafters Workshop, and it was a little older. So here I put on the medium, and then I used darker colors of what was already there. So some aged mahogany and some firebrick red and that, because the more contrast you have, the more your resist will pop. So you want to use darker colors over top of your resist. Now I did this one on the crayon, you can see here, and I haven't actually put anything over it. Just the medium itself made this pattern on the side there, and I sort of liked it the way it was. I didn't need it to pop anymore because you could already see it doing its thing on the side, so you don't always need to put an ink over top of it. Here's one I did an all over pattern, and it was with that watercolor background I did. So you can still see all the different variations of watercolor, but now all that watercolor is permanent underneath the medium. And then I just took a dye ink, distress ink, and filled it in so the pattern sort of popped out from the background. And here I just did it along the line there, and then added a bit more of the brown ink to make the texture pop. So first I'm going to show you how I apply the medium. So I have my stencil. This is a Tim Holtz mini stencil, and I'll just use this Distress Collage medium, and I'm going to just put a bit on my table like that. You don't need a lot of ink for this, and then you just decide where you want it to be. So maybe I'm going to do something like that. Whenever I'm doing circles, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do it so it sits inside. I like it to overlap, and that gives the idea that the pattern is continuing off your project. And it looks better than when the first circles are in and it's all sort of contained within, in my opinion anyway. So I take some on my brush, and I'm just rubbing it in. And then I'm going to go down a bit and all the way down. Now this background was a distress stain background. So you can sort of see, like on the pink there, you should be able to see. And that, so because this was a distress stain background, I'm hitting, even with the collage medium, it activates that ink again. And so you might get some of the ink coming off on your brush and carrying over. And so some of it's hard to see, but you can see it on the pink anyway. And once that dries, it will be a resist. So later on when we add something on top of it, those dots will start to pop off. So now I'm going to show you once it dries. So I have this piece here, and I use the same dots, and you should already be able to see exactly where those dots went. It's the same thing. It's another distress. I think this is an oxide background, but that medium just sort of activated the inks again and lifted some of the color, leaving those sort of circles in place. So I'm going to go in with some ground espresso. And I like to use distress inks for this because of that sponge, as I'm putting on the ink, the sponge is helping to take it off of the resist area. And always turn your project. Don't think you always have to work from the same side. So you have that, but then I'm going to grab a paper towel and a little water. You don't need a lot of water for this. And you see I can go over that, and now those dots really pop on the brown. You also want to keep changing where you are, otherwise you're just rubbing the ink back on. So there, now you can see some of those dots popping when you have that contrasting color on the background. And it's just a fun way to add, you know, another layer to our projects like this. I have one more I'm going to show you. So this was my stencil design. It's from the Crafters Workshop. It is called Doodle Bloom. And it's hard to see there because we had such a busy background that you can't really see. You might be able to see parts of it, but you don't really see the design. And so that's why it's fun to do it. I'm going to use black soot this time. Now, you can see with this stencil, there's a lot of thin lines. And so that's the only part not being covered by the gel medium. So there's a lot of gel medium that it's gone through the stencil. So when we first go on, the black is sort of going to cover everything. But you want to just sort of be pushing it into those crevices. So when we go back over with the water, we'll see the true excitement. So if you're like, oh, it's getting too dark, don't worry. The darkness helps you see where you've applied the ink. So you can see how dark our background is now. I'm going to spritz some water on my cloth. You can see how that ink just comes right off the and you have to keep moving it because you get a lot of ink on there. So as I said, there was very little spots without the medium, and the medium probably went under the stencil a bit. But you get to sort of see, can you see the lines there? That's forming around the flower. And there's just like this subtle texture all throughout it. And now all that colorful rainbow is sealed underneath. So now we can do other techniques on top of this, but that rainbow will always be there. We don't have to worry about washing out or like ruining our sort of rainbowy background. Go through again. There's probably some more ink. I'm still picking up ink. So anyway, that is a fun technique. Here's a couple earlier that you can do. It's another way to add a layer to your projects that's still keeping it in the background. It's not necessarily the focal point. Even though this is large, we can still build up upon it and this will still be part of the background. And and it helps seal in if you've used water-based mediums, and you can just continue to create on top of it. And that is the gel medium resist technique. Thanks for watching. Be sure to give our video a thumbs up and subscribe to Scrap Time videos on YouTube. And for more Inky backgrounds, be sure to check out the Inky background playlist.